What's up, everybody? It's your favorite 3 seconds of screen time's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the 3-0 Arcee from the opening sequence of the Bumblebee movie that took the world by storm, and then 48 seconds later left people wanting only more. And you didn't get it, and neither did I. And that sucks. But what doesn't suck, I think anyway, is this figure. But there's only one way to know for sure. But first, we have to shout out Jordan W., who was kind enough to let me take a look at her, so to speak. And now we can go ahead and find out if she's as good as I think she is, but we can only do that after we've looked at accessories. So first and foremost, she comes with additional sets of hands. She has a set of trigger finger hands, a set of fist hands, a set of outreaching hands. That's in addition to the relaxed hands that you saw in the opening footage, which to me is probably the best basic assortment you can have. She comes with an alternate face sculpt and head that just pops off the ball peg there. And the main difference here to me seems to be the eye expression. They're a little bit more squinted and almond shaped here than the other set which you saw in the opening footage, which we'll be looking at when we get to the figure. She comes with 2 guns. They are identical. They're sculpted beautifully, and they're painted with the gunmetal and then had the black wash over top. And she can hold them just fine in her trigger finger hand. She comes with her 2 backpack pieces. They are beautifully painted with this pink and silver that you'll see throughout the figure with a light weathering on top. Absolutely stunning, with a black wash over top of the silver. As you can see, we got a set of pegs there, and they'll line up with 2 female slots on her back. And once you have them in, you can swivel them or arrange them in, or hinge them in and out. She comes with 2 antennae, 1 for each head sculpt. I'm guessing these are separate just so there's no breakage while shipping and so forth. Very small, very dainty. Use caution, but they are painted white with some silver accents. And they will slide into a notch on the side of her head. And then lastly, she comes with a display base. We have 3-0 Transformers Bumblebee in pink. I would have liked to have seen her name on it, but I do get the branding. And then you have your armature display. This will sink in, attach here, and then typical, like we've seen this type of display or before, where you can extend, and then this piece releases, goes out to peg in, and you can adjust it as you see fit. You can take off a piece from her backside and insert that in. I'm actually a little hesitant to do it because there's a tight fit, but there it is. And then you can utilize the stand. And let's get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. And I think it's pretty good. It's pretty accurate. I like the eyes especially. I'll do my best to kind of walk you through this. There's a lot of detail here to cover. So we have gold and black paint around the eye to create the look of the eye, with silver to implicate the white of the eye, and it's all sharp as a tack. We have 2 shades of pink on the face, pink paint on the ears, white paint with the lightest wash over top that works brilliantly, and then we have the little symbol there that's painted silver, and then we have a little bit of weathering throughout. Exceptional. Absolutely exceptional. Double ball peg from the head into the neck, single from the neck into the chest, which gets you up to there, down to there, full swivel, confused Arcee face. It all works brilliantly. Okay. It doesn't stop there, though. These shoulder pads, the moment I saw them work, I was in love. But they're connected to the shoulder, which is the right way to do it, in my opinion. And we have white paint and pink paint with the weathering. As you move the shoulder pad will operate appropriately and get you higher than 90 degrees. If you want to be extra careful, it is on a double hinge that you can move independently and then sort the arm out and cover down afterward. Up to you, but as long as you're cautious, it works every way. The silver base, it's like most 3-0 stuff that we've seen. And that's to say done well. It's a gunmetal silver. There's actually, looks like 2 subtle shades to it and a wash on top. There's a bicep swivel. You also get 360 around on the shoulder.
And I didn't check on a butterfly.
So real quick, I just want to say I pushed this thing a little bit further to its limits, and I did get a butterfly joint here. So that's good, because I was a little disappointed it didn't have it. We have a single hinged elbow that gets you more than 90 degrees, but not the full run. We have a hinge guard, or like a wrist guard here that's on a hinge that can move up and down. The white and pink paint, the silver details are all the same. The wrist here is on a ball peg, so you can swivel it and get up, down, and out. All right, we'll back out a little bit. Take a look at this torso, which is almost as equally impressive. The pink and white paint, the weathering, the Autobot symbol on the chest all look good. We have 2 hinges for the ab crunch, which work quite well. Nice sculpting on the mechanics in her back. We have no reverse ab crunch. We have a swivel with a limited range, but it is there. Likewise, once again, pushed her a little bit further to her limits and found a teapot joint as well, for what it's worth. And then we have the pelvis. So these flaps move on the pelvis. They are a bit tricky to get to, and I do advise using caution when manipulating them. To expose our universal joints on the hips, we'll see if we can look at the whole figure now, which can get you, be cautious, be mindful. That's the name of the game here with these hips. Out to about there, maybe a little bit more if you really push it. Forward and back to there, maybe a little bit more if you push it. Thigh swivel, nice white paint on the thighs, nice tight wash in the line work, silver accents along the way, all look good. Silver and gold. On the back of the knees are double jointed. It is a little tricky sometimes, so be careful. The top knee joint is a little stiffer, a little harder to engage, and in order to not scratch the pieces up against one another, you do need to activate it. So, but once you do, you get the full run. And great sculpt work that continues throughout. Fantastic, with a wash on top. And the knee pad moves with the joint. Beautiful. Love to see it. And then you have the feet. So, we have the same gunmetal paint that we're sort of used to. We have an slightest ankle tilt up and down. There's a toe tilt as well, down and up. And the slightest bit of a rocker. Little bit to be desired with that rocker, if you ask me. And that's sort of my Achilles heel with this figure, which we will get to in our final thoughts. There she is from the back. Overall, a really good looking piece, but a little limited. Size comparison wise, obviously I don't have anything that's appropriate to show her with, but there she is next to the Fans Toys Rouge. So she's a little bit taller, which I think is in line with the scale, but hopefully that gives you somewhat of an idea. It also gives you a chance to look at the proportions. I think they are accurate from the pictures I've been able to pull up, but it is a little bit, at least it was for me, a little bit extreme and off-putting at first, but I have gotten used to it as I've continued to manipulate the figure. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negative. And I got news for you. I really only have one negative, but it's a negative that haunts this thing almost top to bottom. This figure doesn't transform, right? You know I'm A-okay with that. But now you gotta really nail it as an action figure. And I'm not sure they did, and I'm not sure I understand why. Now, I want to say also, this doesn't belong to me. I'm not always comfortable pushing things to their limits when it doesn't belong to me. But from just interacting with it the few hours that I have, let me tell you how I feel. It limits itself. No reverse ab crunch. Limited waist swivel. Limited elbow. Limited hips. Limited ankles. Limited backpack. You get the hinge like kind of back towards each other, but you don't get a hinge back like out away from the back of the body, which could make it look more dynamic. And you do get the swivel. So there's just a lot of limitations here that are choice-based limitations. And I think those choices were made to keep a more cohesive sculpt. And I think for doing that, it does a really good job, but I'm left wanting a little bit more out of her, so to speak. Moving on to the positives. Brilliant sculpt, absolutely brilliant, looks great. Comes with all the appropriate accessories that you would want for the figure. It's painted to the nines. One of the most beautifully painted pieces I've looked at all year. That white and pink combo is stunning in hand. I hope it comes across somewhat on film. The materials feel great. The build is pretty good, just some spots are a little tight. So it's a recommend from me, ultimately, because I do think there's enough good here to recommend it. Just know it is a little bit more limited than perhaps it should be, or you would hope or at least expect it to be. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.